So today I've spent hours looking over my Unity project to see what sort of things I want adding. Now, the biggest things, of course, is to get the player working. So what I did first spend time on was sorting out my collisions. Now, what I've done is I've got two separate parts. One that's just the office level that shows the box collision, so that no matter what, the player can't go through it. And next was the jumping area. Now, I have separated these two different things because of how my jump mechanic likes to work. How it is that if the player is on a collision known as the layer of ground, then he can jump. Now, the reason why it's not set to ground on this layer is because if I set to ground, then you can technically jump on the walls and build and climb. That is not what I want, so I had to do that. Now, the other thing is, of course, all the office items have their own collisions, and only the shelves are set to ground while everything else is set to a default. This allows the player to not climb over these different parts. Now, a small thing that I have also done is I've gotten the vent part to work now, so that when the player enters it and presses E, he can go in and the whole script would work. Now, if I go on that script later on, I will show you it. And the other thing, of course, is the player, which is this part. Now, it may seem confusing at first, but if I were to click play, we can now see that that everything besides animations for now, but everything mechanically works. So the camera still pans towards the player. You can still, zoom out a bit just to see ahead and all that. So you can kind of spy on when the police officer is. But other than that, the other part is now that when you hold down jump, you can release at certain times for different heights. So let's do a short hop, medium hop, then of course longer, and then longer, and then longest. So you hold it down for the longest, for the higher jump, of course, and get up, and you ensure, of course, that you get on. There's a few problems, of course, with the collision still that I need to solve, but other than that, the problem isn't really super important. So of course, yeah, you can see past, and then you get to do the hiding parts and move forward. Another thing I have now is that if you hold down shift, you can go faster. So you have more of a sprint, and then if you hold control, you go slower. These were more bonus things for me to sort out, and it's good for the future of my game rather than the project itself. But moving forward, we have now whenever you connect towards these shelves, the reason why the shelves have their own specific layers towards them is, of course, because I want the shelves to be able to go through. So I've gone ahead and done that. So if I hold down shift um, while in the air, you can go ahead and quickly move across. And of course, you can do a long hop for that, or you can go ahead and just do a big hop for this. There are multiple ways to do it. It's all finicky right now because of a few errors, but that's how it is. Anyway, go round, down, and then straight towards the vent, which then if you press E, it does the whole congratulations. And yeah, that should be that so far. Now, a few glaring issues and the problems when it came to making this. The number one problem that I've noticed is if I zoom in, you can't really tell from this point of view, but so let's say if I move to more obvious in pixels, so you can tell, the player for some reason has an issue that he will slowly move. Now, I am unsure what the problem is and why it's causing that. But for now, I've just not been. I've just ignored it for now because I've gone through many hours trying to get this working. So I didn't want to do anything to really mess things up. Now, the other thing, of course, that makes it more obvious if, like, I hold control, he ends up going the other direction. Or let's say if I hold shift, he goes faster in this direction. Now, this is a weird problem that I'm not too sure why it's happening. And any solutions would be greatly appreciated towards the end of my project, but for now, it's not important. It's not the most glaring issue, as I've said a few times already, but it is a worrying problem that can come to happen. That can be really problematic for my project later on. Now, to show the scripts, let's go on. The biggest things I want to do though is showcase this while it's not maximized. So let's say we go on here and we see this. So right now we have it so that if you hold down spacebar, this jump time counter will go down and it affects your jump force. So if I go to this, um, the probable the issue may be because I've got this slant and it's causing it to go down, but I'm not too sure exactly. I'll probably fix that by making it flat. Um, and then again, going back to it, we have a whole thing here. So like the normal speed is 1.5. So if I hold shift, it goes to 3. If I hold control, it goes to 0.75. And when you hold spacebar, it goes to 0.1. And whenever you're in this position of holding a jump, you cannot switch to the different speeds even when you're pressing shift or control. They will only change the speed whenever you're out of a jump. Um, then, of course, these parts are more just for me, they're not important. And other than that, there aren't really many issues. So let us go onto the script. And I will quickly change the to Visual Studio. So you have in here the Boxbook code, which goes ahead and ensures a rigid body is for the is connected towards the script, and of course some extra things like the speed and the jump. Now, as a lot of these parts are crossed out, and I will explain them in just a moment. But for now, we will just scroll through each of the script parts, and and so, for example, here's of course the whole speed optimizing, so that it will go ahead and does the crouch and then running and then jumping, and then the default. Um, and of course, this part is for the player flip, so that whenever you want to go left, it will go flip the sprite by changing it to 180 in its scale. And this will be explained in a moment. So moving on to my player movement, this is my prototype script that I've gone ahead and reworked thanks to the Boxbook code. And as seen here, a lot of things I've removed because they're not important right now. So we have here the whole is jumping, and the controller is the Boxbook code. I've linked it to be that. And so it grabs the whole if it's grounded, if it's crawling, and if it's running, so that you can do the whole jump time counter. These are the different times based on whenever you release. In between these times, it will do the different jump force as you've seen before. And then this is towards the when you've released the jump button, it will have a moment where you can have a full speed and it will set it back. The problem though is that this may not actually be working now thanks to this part, but I will probably fix that in the next evaluation. And of course, the waiting was just for that to set it back to normal speed. Now, the next thing, which was the win, as I was going to say, is that before I had it so that the if input.getKey, I had it set so that it was inside of this as an and, so it was more like a and input.getKey. But then I realized there was a problem that it just didn't want to work, and so what I had to do was make it so that once you enter the vent, it will go ahead and say that exit is true as a bool. And then I have a whole update here that text if exit is true, then it will say congratulations. But what I can do is I can change that to do a fade out or whatever to get the player to win, of course. The other thing, which think I've showed before, which is the camera. This is just for the whole limits. It's just to add something for me to detect whereabouts my red limit are. That's why the red lines are there. I've already explained this part, so there's no need to re-explain. Now, again, with the problems, of course, is as seen with these parts. A lot of these parts are crossed out because for the player movements case, these are for the animations and the whole hiding box that was used in the prototype. Now, whenever I do add these mechanics into the actual project, I will probably either use this or rework it for my for this project instead of the prototype. And then moving on to the boxable code, this is all here because this was the old jump mechanic that I was trying out from the tutorial. Now, the reason why it's all crossed off is because the one in the tutorial made it so that when you press the jump button, it goes different heights based on how long you hold it for. Except for the fact that I wanted it so that when you hold down the jump button, it will charge and then release the spacebar to do a different height. That's why I've gone ahead and reworked it. I could go ahead and remove it, but I might keep it for future sake, and a lot of things need to do that. And again, the problem that I seem to be facing is, of course, with this whole speed thing. Because for some reason, I'm not too sure why, but if this seems to cause my player to move without moving. I'm not too sure why, so I will probably go ahead and research it and then I'll find a solution. If not, then I will just keep it until whenever I want to actually make this an actual game, because it's not the biggest glaring issue right now. My biggest issue is to get these parts to work in the final game, because what I need to do now is I need to get the police officer to turn every single random time, and then I need to get the final animations working on the player, and that should be it for my project. Well, that and getting a scene saying that you won, of course. So again, that should be all for my evaluation for this week, and it was a very troubling task to get all of these things working, because it was constant trial and error trying to figure out the right script, because once again, it's just been a while since I went in Unity, so learning these things is kind of a hard thing for me to do, and that's why it takes me multiple hours to learn this stuff once again. But anyway, that should be all for this week, and I will update you the next time I do more practical or site work.